crowding on that old man over there. Go over there and check it out and see what he's got to say. What is he talking about?
City lights shine so bright, trying to get over. Such a cold world. Can't get right wearing tights, don't know whether it's a boy or girl. Wake up, dreamers, dreaming is the sleepers. You can't live that dream, so I live my life in reality. Yes. So many times the things that I witness, how I hate what I see. Another child not going far in the ghetto. Way to go. Another child not going far.
Living with Reality podcast, Truth and Consequences. I'm your host, Mbackham. Mbackham. Those are acronyms. But enough of the acronyms, enough of the introductions. We have so much to get into, so we're just going to have to just dive right into it. We just came up with our last podcast, which was the spirit of truth. So much is going on now, so we want to keep current, up to date, and we got to keep hurling truth, at the falsehoods, so that we can knock out the brains, knock out the thinking of falsehood. So I've got some notes here on my desk here, so bear with me as we go through this. I probably have to do this in 2 parts, maybe 3 parts, because it's so much. This is the day before the anticipated indictment of former President Donald Trump. So to give some clarity, some where we're standing here, the date and the time stamp here. This is on Monday, 2 days before the Islamic holy day of Ramadan, which I will celebrate too, because I need to fast and renew my spirit, strengthen my spirit. I'm not going to say renew it, strengthen my spirit and my love for good and truthness. So now, again, like I was saying, there is so much here that I want to get off into. This podcast, by the way, is designed for a specific audience. Everyone is welcome, for sure, but it is designed for people, for those who, for friends, for family, former students of mine, and just those who know of me. But though this is who this is designed for, and I pray that it can go out and they can spread it if they find the content worthy of spreading. But my main concern is to get some information out to those whom I love. I do love all of those who love God, who love truth, and who work for the establishment of God's kingdom and the establishment of truth itself. So again, Living with Reality, Truth in Podcast with your host, Mbackham. I thank you for your time, and I do my best not to waste time with frivolous words. So we're going to be talking about China, Russia, America, black gatekeepers, white gatekeepers. One thing, I guess, is at the top of my list, so I'll start there with China. China and Russia are meeting right now. They have the war going on in Ukraine. China with its President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, these are men. They're not cowards, regardless of what we may think of them. good, bad, evil, whatever. But they are men of I would say a manly stature. They are working for the betterment of their, well, I guess, themselves and their people. Okay, now their people could be their family, the people who are closest to them, or it could include the whole continent of people, the whole large family of China, the large family of Russia. But I'll never exclude the betterment of self, because self, as we are taught, and I agree with this teaching that, self-preservation is number one. So you have to love yourself, and then you can love others. So, but with the meeting between China and Russia right now, to establish actually a different world order than what has been established. And like I said, these are men of strength and men of conviction. Here in the United States, what we have going on here, we have a president who is um, uh, it's really difficult to describe this president here because it's almost like a comedy, a parody, like a Saturday Night Live. But this is a 24/7. This is a 4-year term, I guess, of Saturday Night Live parody, a joke. We have a president who is clearly suffering from a dementia, amongst other things. I think there's an excuse, really. It's almost like the mafia don who plays sick. He's dying of cancer or he's dying of this or that. But in the meantime, what he's doing is destroying this country. Everything, all the policies that are coming out of Washington D.C. is for the detriment of this country. So again, I wanted you to understand that we have men there in China, Xi Jinping, and a man there in Putin. Like I say, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Uh, they don't want in their countries um, transgenderism, for instance. That's what they call it, okay, transgenderism. But this is an old, a resurrection, so to speak. This has always been an issue when you had drag queens, entertainment for adults, men dressing as women and that kind of thing. And for adults to live a life the way they want to live their life, well, I can't say anything about that. More power to you. However, when this starts to when you start to force this upon children, then that becomes a whole nother story. But anyway, uh, Russia wants no part of men thinking that they can be women. The societal changes that we have going on here in America are really detrimental to humanity, not just not just to children. Well, when you affect the children, then that's the development of humanity because they're going to grow up. Over there in Stanford, they had these law students over there, and they were heckling a judge there, and the woke crowd, law students. Well, these are going to be future lawyers. You have this this DA or whatever he is in New York who's filing these charges supposedly against former President Trump, which has really no legal basis. You know, all top lawyers and constitutionalists have all agreed that what he's doing is just they're doing it outside of law. We'll just put it that way, outside of law. As a lot of this administration has done a lot of things outside of law, and the problem is that the people, uh, the masses, don't know. They have been programmed through television programming, the news programming, so-called mainstream media that does not report on the other side of the coin. We'll just put it that way. So all they're being fed is propaganda. And this propaganda, I have you realize, was legalized by Barack Obama, who made it legal for the American military government to propagandize its own people here. Now, that is, I mean, that's a statement that, I can say it and you can forget it, but I cannot forget it and I will not forget it because it carries so much weight. To legally propagandize their own people the way that they propagandize the people overseas. That's one of those statements where, like when Malcolm X said, the chickens coming home have come home to roost. Yeah, the chickens have come home to roost. So the same technique and methods that they use to destablish and destabilize and regime change and overseas, they now have brought that home here to America. Now, these people who are in power now, they will do anything to stay in power. That's what you must understand. If you understand that, then you will understand the whole game. They will do anything to stay in power. So I go off on these rants because I'm telling you that there's so much. You can take one subject, but you can tie in the whole picture to this one subject. In truth, you can do that. If it's true at 12 o'clock, it's going to be true at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or whichever my way the fingers is pointing here. It's going to be true all the way around. That's the point. If it's not true here, then there's something wrong with that picture. If you cannot complete the circle of truth. So whatever interrupts that, then you stop right there and say, okay, wait a minute, what's going on with this right here? Okay, so I'm going to move on here. Border invasions. Our southern border, well, it's wide open. It's done. One more thing about Trump before I move on. He said that if we elect Biden, he said we won't have a country anymore. And that takes me to the phrase, I remember these Black Lives Matter and the Antifa, whom the government said did not exist, as they burnt down cities. But anyway, they were saying no borders, no walls, no USA at all. And I was taken back by that. No USA at all. No borders, no wall. No USA at all. No Constitution at all. We want to change everything. The very thing that allowed them to run the streets and say what they wanted to say is the exact same thing that they're talking about that they want to demolish, defund the police as they burnt down the cities. But think over these things. Think over these things. As I go down through some of my notes I have here, the plan of depopulation is happening. The fertility rate, they say the sperm count in men is going down. You have their prognosticators saying that by the year 2050, that there will be no more humans. What? No more humans. This is 2023, so we're talking 25, 6, 7 more years. They're looking to have no more humans. They're looking to merge with machines. So those of you who have not seen Terminator or that movie with Will Smith, I forget the name of it, iRobot, those type of sci-fi movies, there's substance to them, and therefore my grandchildren, they're saying they're not even going to want them to produce, and they are well on the way of doing that with a lot of methods that you can do your own research to see how they are reducing population or how they plan to reduce the population. Bill Gates did a TED Talks. There's a research that I can take it. Remember, do your own research. Bill Gates did a TED Talks where he had an equation on the board in about people, carbon, and something or another, and they wanted to get the number down to zero. And in order to get the number down to zero, he had to eliminate carbon something. Well, we are carbon creatures, entities. We live. Carbon is a life-giving form. Source of power and energy. So if we eliminate anyway, but the equation was to eliminate people, and the people in the crowd applauded and they're so dumbed down that they really didn't know what they're clapping for. It's almost like the joke when some of the I don't like to use this analysis, but a joke, a vulgar joke, and the audience, they'll just clap about it and laugh at something that is just so vulgar. Think about that. We'll move along here. Again, I got some notes here, but then as I just take this as almost like a book of reports. You got your headlines and whatnot, and then I take it off of that. Well, what I present to you is empirical facts, not what I'm thinking or what I want to be true or something that I've made up, because there's no time for made up things. There's no time for illusion. Again, this is truth and consequences. Living with reality. Live to exist. Reality, that which is. Truth, that which is backed up by the senses that we can distinguish. And then the consequences of all these when they tied together. No speculation. Do your own research. There's people who have, put out information years ago, explaining what's happening, what's gonna happen, and what has happened, what's happening, and what's gonna happen. And the original people who have said these things, well, when it comes to fruition, they're forgotten, because when they said these things initially, they say, "Oh, he's a crackpot. They're crazy. They don't know what they're talking about." They said Elijah Muhammad didn't know what he's talking about when he said that man is God and God is man. But when someone like Alex Jones puts out a movie, documentary called End Games and stuff, they say, "Oh, this is conspiracy theory. Put on your tinfoil hat," Again, laughing at stuff that is dead seriously and actual facts and dead truth. So we laugh it off because, well, just give me another shot of Hennessy. Even when I was a younger man and I indulged in things that we all have indulged in, most of us, if old enough, have indulged in. Well, even while I indulged, I never denied these facts of reality, and I researched them and I studied them. I was of those who burned the candle at both ends on studying science, religion, books, and listening to the elders too. I did not want to have my behind so soft. They say a hard head makes a soft behind. But I did my best to try to learn and listen to the elders. And I did, but again, we all have fallen short. There was a note that I came up to my mind when I thought about that earlier, and I wrote it down because it says, "But I, as all of us, are God's glory and his witnesses. We're witnesses of his mercy, his grace, forgiveness, his redemption, and resurrection. All of us have fallen short, but all of us are the glory of God." So with that forgiveness, that redemption, and that forgiveness, and then as Jesus says in the Bible, he says, "Go. and sin no more. I don't convict you. Who of these have convicted us of sin? And nobody, nobody stood up because we have all fallen short in that category. And the Jesus at that time, he said, and I accuse you not as well. What was he saying there? Was he saying that he was so high and mighty that he had never sinned? I do not read it that way. I read it in the way of truth. That if Satan had deceived the whole world, and the book says that if God were to destroy man for his sins, he said not one would be left alive. So with that being said, that even the Jesus himself had committed a sin of some sort or another at some time or another, in order for he to be resurrected from the dead. But that's a little bit of a deeper subject, but I don't shy away from deep subjects. Comment, please send your comments in, your questions in. Please leave them as I refine this podcast, refine this what I am establishing. I'm not going to say attempting to establish. I am establishing this. And if I carry it on once a week or once a month, I will send out these messages, and whoever has an eye will see it. Whoever has an ear will hear it. And whoever has a lips and a mouth, they can profess it, etc., etc. All praise be and thanks be to God.
Don't you know this is what you've got to see? Another child superstar trying to get over. Lights and shadows and moonbeams in his eyes. Another boy from Detroit here with his friend, his woman, and all of his kin. All his friends together. Man, all his friends together. What are you trying to say, man? Got all his friends together. What are you trying to say, man? Got all his friends together. What are you trying to say, man?
When we say that God, Elijah Muhammad, he's taught that. He said God is a man and a woman. I'm not leaving out my sisters. No, 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 no. We are powerful beings together. Separated, well, we don't exist. Together we exist. If we're not together, we don't exist. So one cannot exist without the other. So we are one. God is one. Say that God is one. Truth that we have grown, and now we can see the reality of where was I at? I started with Chinese, and I went to Russia, and now, but there was some more on this here. I wanted to go down here, and I apologize if I'm jumping around, but hang in here. Hang in here. There's so much. The mind moves, I don't know, 14 billion miles per second, faster than a computer, faster than AI, the so-called AI, listen to that, artificial intelligence. The first art, that just coming to me, art from the word artificial, art. What is art? It's something that is crafted, official, something that is seen. So artificial intelligence, just on the basic of those two synopsis, is something that we should just toss out from the jump. It's something that a man's mind has to put into it. It did not put itself together, nor did it create itself. All praises and thanks be to God. But America, and now the black gatekeepers. Why are the black man in America? Because I will specifically talk about the black man in America first, because that's whom the people that God chose as his chosen people to reveal himself to and through. That mystery, so that mystery of God will be no more. So what has held us down? What has kept us down since we have this invincible truth? And we do have it. We do have it. So, but what has kept us down? It's called the black gatekeepers, just to put a word on it. They don't want to be separated from Pharaoh. They don't want to be separated. They like the king's meat, pork, swine, the lifestyle, the Hennessy, the cognac, the cocaine, the reefer, the filth, and dad. Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. Again, we have all fallen short. Yes, we've all fallen short. Now, on a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, an emblem of suffering and shame. Going back to the black gatekeepers who continue to have us to submit to that old rugged cross, to believe or to place our faith in an old rugged cross, put our faith and belief in an emblem, an idol of suffering and shame. That on its face is just, it does not make sense. That we gather life from that emblem of suffering and shame. However, there is a wise interpretation of that. But it's the suffering of we, the black man in America, have suffered as no people on this planet have suffered. Again, we can say these things and you can forget them, but we had our names taken away from us. We've had our God, our religion taken away from us. Culture, our very essence, society, nature. Our man was taken from our woman. Our woman was taken from our man. Our children was taken from the parents and fashioned into something else. There was a brother who was teaching the other day, and he expounded on that word fashion, and it sparked the thoughts in me, and I told him, I said, I'm gonna have to marinate on that, brother. It was with style and fashion, fashioned into shape. So, and I thought about the what's the latest fashion? What's the latest style? Well, the latest fashion is feminism for men. Men can dress like men dress so feminine and act so feminine. That's the latest fashion and style. I've heard a minister speak on. He said George Jefferson now can go into the beauty salon and come out with waves and dreads and come out with a whole beard taped on, some glued on, some beard he got on his Muppet face. Fake, 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 fake people. Style, fashion, fake people, actors. Oh, I pray that I continue to be strengthened in truth, that the consequences of the truth is going to be reality. And when we're in reality, then we can make proper, we say informed decisions on how we should proceed, how we should live our life. I don't want, again, like I said, it's so much. Once I get one note, then it's the words of God can never be exhausted. The ideas of man will never be exhausted. That is why one of the there's a phrase in the Quran that says that is light upon light. You know, there's no end to it. As well, that bottomless pit that that suggests that there's no end to that as well. A brother once said that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made a statement in reference to something like, we cannot fathom the depth of the wickedness of Satan. So, however wicked we think he is or it is, we're not at the bottom of it. So, I put it this way, I've gone far enough down to say that rabbit hole. I'm not trying to go no further down no rabbit hole. No, oh, no, no, no. Bring me to the surface. Bring me to the surface. And when I get to the surface, then let me study and open up books and say that looks like wings so that I can start to fly above this world of illusion. When you get it's like that plane, when you get above the clouds, you don't see, ain't nothing up there but space. But when you're looking down, you see the big picture. You say, oh, okay. I am just a drop of water in this bucket, in this ocean of life, in this sea of life. I want to thank you again for taking your time to listen to this expose of living with reality, truth, and consequences. Henry Kissinger, whom most of us know of, again, those who have a little bit of age on us, and if you're younger, you need to research. Again, do your own research. Do your own research. Like I said, we can lead the horse to the water, but we can't make him drink. I cannot make you believe something if you have not studied for yourself. Open that Bible, study it, and compare it to how people are living. Open the Quran. Again, I would say this too. I grew up raised by Baptist parents, going to the Baptist church, and I said, "This is my way." So, but when I learned that there's other books out there, okay, well, let me look to study. The Bible says, "Study, show thyself approved." So I say this to my Christian brothers and sisters: if you have not read this book called Quran, you need to get it and read it. I ain't no Muslim. Okay. Well, be of those who study. Be of those who know what the book says, not what somebody says it says, or not how somebody who say they believe in it, how they're living. Because again, we've all fallen short of the glory. So if I fall short, that don't mean that These teachings are short. That's my own personal fault that I pray for strength to strengthen myself in. But just to say, I ain't what my Lord Jesus Christ is my Savior and all, yeah, I'm saved. Well, saved from what? Uh, I was speaking at a Bible study once, and said, "Well, I know Jesus. I know. Okay, after we know Jesus, then what? Okay, you know Jesus. Jesus is my personal Lord and Savior. Okay, that's all good. I grant you that. Now what? Where do we go from here?" Well, the Bible and the Quran. I held up the Quran there, and my Bible. I have a small Bible, but I have a Bible that was given to me so many years ago. I have it on my shelf here, and how we do that? Yeah, this one here, and the brother that gave this book to me, um, I wrote it down, and I call him my lifelong friend, Mr. T.E. Marshall, on this 11th day of January, 1986. Thank you, brother. So 86, 96, 86, 96, 06, 16, and 22 is 6. What is that? 36, 37 years. He gave me this book because, he'd seen my seriousness of study, and it went back before then. So I would say 36, I say over 40, I was 75, ooh, 70, high school 72, almost 50 years that I've been a serious student of Bible, Quran, science, uh, politics. And even before then, I was a martial artist since I was 14. I call it military art, martial art. It's military art, science, the art and science of Taekwondo Chongdo Kwan by my instructor, Kwang Jang. Kwang Jang, Edward B. Sell. Google my teacher in the military arts, Kwang Jang, Edward B. Sell. Just Google him. He was the highest ranked non-Oriental in the world. Caucasian, red head, blue eye. There's much to say on that right there, and I just did some study of, as I've been reading the book "Closing the Gap." "Closing the Gap" is a book that gives an inner view of a religious man, a very spiritual man, his inner working, his inner thinking, and the Caucasian is in there. Um, when we speak of, I speak of say Master Fard Muhammad. We say that God appeared through that man. His wisdom is beyond the wisdom of the current world's wisdom, and uh, and fulfillment of scriptures that God would come. Where would he come? Who would he come to? In fulfillment of his promise to Abraham, that his people would be um, a stranger in a strange land for 400 years. They would serve them and they would afflict them. But after that time, he said, I will come and I will judge that nation which they shall serve. Now, that's for those of us who believe in the Bible, which I do. The Bible and the Quran, they're like kissing cousins. I don't like to use that type of vernacular, but you know, they're companions to each other. They're like twins, identical in some twins, and some twins are unidentical, but they're still twins. And the Quran is like verifies the truths that are in the Bible. We have to realize that the Bible was written by inspired men. And then after these men wrote what they were inspired to write, then it was handed over to the scribes of King James. And they put their own interpretation. They put their version of what the inspired men had written. So let's think over these things. The Holy Quran is a book that is written that is directed right at you and right at me. It says, "Oh messenger." When I read that, it's talking to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, of 1400 years ago of Arabia. But this book speaks to my own personal self. It's calling me a messenger. It's calling you a messenger. It's calling us messengers. It's calling us servants. It's guiding us. It's saying, say this. It tells us to say this, say that. Be this way, be that way. If someone comes to you with news, look into it carefully, lest you harm somebody unawares. I got my globe here. This was a pretty globe here, and it's a dark globe. And then we have a globe here it's a clear globe of the world. The thought came to me earlier about the the dark side of the world and the world as it is. This one here is illusionary. You can kind of make out of it what you want. But anyway, again, I go off on these tangents sometimes. So with that being said, I'm going to close this podcast out for today. Oh, I was on the Black Gatekeepers. I'm sorry, I kind of went off and left them, didn't I? But they have convinced us to stay in the lifestyle that we're staying in. And we got white gatekeepers too that convinces their people to stay in the lifestyle that they're staying in. So they've fashioned us, the black man in America, into an enemy unto our own selves. So we put on these fake weaves and fake wigs and fake beards, fake eyelashes. And I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about these so-called men. Yeah, so-called men. You know, men are those who uphold society, who build. These things out here now, they're not upholding anything but debauchery and an abomination. They're not building anything. What are they building? Think over this. Answer that question. Comment. Please send your comments. I've gone on long enough. There's so much more I wanted to speak about the banking system that has been crashed intentionally. It's not by accident that the banking system has crashed. There used to be over 5,000 banks, and now there's probably about maybe 1,500. They're going to introduce this digital currency. 15-minute cities. I pray that coming up on I'll follow up with this podcast and I'll introduce the banking systems and these 15-minute cities. And as we continue to break down and to establish the truth over the falsehood so that we can make proper decisions, proper judgments, and so that we can live in peace amongst each other without destroying the beautiful world that we have inherited, that we were born into, and that we can make it better. Dress the garden, multiply and beautify it, saith the Lord. Thank you for listening. I'm your brother Mbakum. Assalamu alaikum in the Arabic language. La paz usted, mi corazón, in the language of the Espanol. Peace be with you in the English. And I'm going to learn more greetings in more languages so that I can wish peace to everyone in their own language so that they can understand that I come in peace and I leave in peace. Speaking a language that you know, not that gibberish. So I'm going to leave that alone. Thank you for listening. Wake up. Bye. Peace. As your brother here, if there's anything that I've said to offend, please know that I don't mean to castigate in an ugly manner. It is only when you put up a dirty glass next to a clean glass, well, it's going to look ugly. If you drink from a dirty glass, it's going to taste bad. But look at the clean glass and drink from the clean glass of water, and it will taste good and give us nourishment. But I apologize to offend anyone in a hurtful. If you felt hurt, but it is designed and my intentions are for self-analysis, the self-will, the self-accusing spirit that we all have to face and deal with. Again, thank you. I'm your brother, Mbakum Mansa Bey, also known as Angelo Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.